So the year is 2014, and this Odell Beckham guy out of LSU was taking the world by storm. All of a sudden, kids around the world were dyeing their hair blonde and yelling the phrase "Odell me" on the playground. But how did we get to this point? In 2013, Odell Beckham was one half of the dynamic wideout duo featuring himself and Jarvis Landry at LSU. Landry would finish the season with 1,193 yards on 77 catches, and Odell would finish with 1,152 yards on just 59 catches. The monster season for Odell would land him in the Big Apple, as he was the 12th overall pick in the 2014 NFL Draft, where he was selected by the New York Giants. The Giants were a winning franchise who had won 2 Super Bowls in the last 7 seasons, and Eli Manning was the perfect quarterback for a young Odell Beckham. And Odell would be lining up alongside Victor Cruz, who was just 2 yards short of a third straight 1,000-yard season to start his career. The future seemed bright for Odell, but nobody expected what his rookie season would really become. Unfortunately, before he could even see an NFL field, he suffered a hamstring injury in the spring, and that hamstring would re-aggravate on the very first day of training camp when his foot got caught in the shoelace of teammate Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie. Now Odell was behind the 8 ball. He'd missed most of the team's OTAs, minicamp practices, and now training camp. Giants coach Tom Coughlin was very frustrated, stating, "We're not going to let him go if he's in danger of hurting himself. That's all there is to it. I can stand here and fight all I want. It's not going to matter." Beckham had now tore the semitendinosus muscle and the hamstring belly, and it's now caused him to miss practice after practice after practice, and then preseason game after preseason game after preseason game, and then regular season game after regular season game after regular season game. And all of a sudden, we're 4 weeks into the season, and the Giants' first round pick hadn't played a snap. But when week 5 hit, he was ready to give it a go. The Giants had started the season 2-2, and now they'd get their star LSU standout back on the field. And the first opponent in the NFL career of Odell Beckham would be the Atlanta Falcons, who boasted one of the worst defenses in the NFL. They were 31st in yards per game allowed at 430 and 29th in points per game allowed with 28. Now Odell was still on a pinch count and wouldn't see the field on the first drive of the game. But after a 3-and-out, Tom Coughlin had seen enough, and on the very first play of the next Giant drive, Odell was on the field. And after a few plays, his first target would be his first completion. Eli would find Beckham for 8 yards and a first down, and the drive would end with a Ruben Randle touchdown. A great start for the Giants, but they had since fallen down 20-17 with 10 minutes left in the game, and that's where the superstar rookie Odell Beckham would catch his first career touchdown as he hauled in a contested 15-yard jump ball over Robert Alford, and the hamstring certainly looked good as he did what would become his signature whip and nene. The Giants would then go on to take care of business and prevailed 30-20, and for the first time since 2012, the Giants were over 500 as they sat at 3-2. Odell caught 4 passes on his 5 targets for 44 yards, with the most important catch being his first career touchdown. This was the best start you could ask for from Odell after he essentially missed all of training camp in the first 4 weeks of the season. Up next was the division rival Philadelphia Eagles, who sat at 4-1 and were the exact opposite of the Atlanta Falcons. And there's no way to sugarcoat this one, it got nasty really quick. The Eagles pitched a first half 20-0 shutout and went on to win the game 27-0. Nick Foles threw 2 touchdown passes, LaShawn McCoy had a season-high 149 yards rushing, and the Philadelphia Eagles beat the New York Giants 27-0 for their first shutout in 18 years. Odell was held to just 2 catches on 4 targets and 28 yards. The Giants, who had scored 30 points in 3 straight wins, were taken apart in what would become the blackout game, and this game went on to derail the Giants' entire season. As to make bad news even worse, it'd be confirmed that Victor Cruz went down with a torn patellar tendon in the early stages of the third quarter, sending him to the injured reserve and ending his season. Through 5.5 games, Cruz had put up 337 yards on 23 catches, but with Cruz down and out, Odell Beckham would have to step up and officially take over the reins. But even with that taking place, just like the previous week, it was another one-loss NFC East team they'd have to travel to, the 5-1 Dallas Cowboys. Tony Romo threw 3 touchdown passes, DeMarco Murray broke Jim Brown's 56-year-old NFL record with his 7th straight 100-yard rushing game to start the season, and the Cowboys won their 6th straight by beating the Giants 31-21. Odell put up a very impressive 2-touchdown performance, but the Cowboys would still easily walk away with the victory. Eli improved his game with a 248-yard 3-touchdown performance, and he wasn't sacked once, compared to the 5 sacks he took in the first half of the previous week. And Odell had just 34 yards on 4 catches, but again, 2 of those catches went for 6. So now Odell knew he'd have to step up his game even more, and that he did the next week versus the Indianapolis Colts in what would be the start of one of the most monster stretches in NFL history. He'd go for 8 catches on 11 targets for 156 yards despite being kept out the end zone. At this point, it was pretty evident the Giants weren't good enough to compete against most teams in the league, and the Giants would fall to the Colts 40-24. That was the first game in November. His second would come on November 10th, where he'd face the Seattle Seahawks, aka the Legion of Boom. With Richard Sherman and Earl Thomas patrolling the secondary, Odell would torch the Seahawks for 7 catches on 9 targets and 108 yards, which was highlighted by a 44-yard deep ball where Odell ran right by Richard Sherman. But props to Sherman, with the game tied at 17 approaching the fourth quarter, Eli would go for it all to his rookie, and Sherman would tip the ball for an Earl Thomas interception. And after that, the Seahawks would run away with it, winning by a stunning 38-17 final after what seemed to be a down-to-the-wire game. Next up was the San Francisco 49ers, and this might be the single worst game in Eli Manning's career. With 5 minutes left in the game, Eli was up to 4 interceptions, but the deficit was just 6, sitting at 16-10. And guess who'd show up? Who else would it be other than Odell Beckham hauling in an incredible 37-yard catch to set the Giants up with 1st and goal and a chance to take the lead. But then 3 straight incomplete fades, and Eli Manning on 4th down would throw interception number 5. Odell finished just shy of 100 yards with 6 catches and 93 yards, and the Giants were now on a 5-game losing streak. But up next, on Sunday Night Football versus the division rival Dallas Cowboys in front of the entire nation, would be a moment that would change Odell's life forever. Ignore the 10 catches on 11 targets, ignore the 146 yards, ignore the fact that he had 2 total touchdowns, because this was the moment we'd all never forget. An absurd one-handed grab that ascended him into national stardom. The Giants would go on to lose again, with the final score being 31-28. But all that mattered on this night was the catch that changed recess forever. Odell's catch blew up on Twitter, and many were saying it's the greatest catch we'd ever seen. It even prompted LeBron James to invite him to dinner when the Cavs played in New York the following week. And the next day, he'd be awarded the NFL's Offensive Rookie of the Month for November. More of the things that resulted from the catch was former President Bill Clinton asking him for a picture at the 2015 All-Star Game, and his Instagram following jumped up to 8 million. The day after the one-handed catch, Odell was scheduled to do a signing at the Roosevelt Field Mall in Long Island. Hundreds of fans then packed the mall's lower level, forcing New York's newest star to be shuffled by security through the bowels of the building, with cameras for outlets like TMZ stalking him at every turn. So now, with texts from Michael Jordan in his phone, dinner with LeBron, and a newfound mass social media following, the Giants star would have to finish the rest of the season strong. With 5 games to go, he started his new era, if you say that, with 7 catches on 8 targets and 90 yards and a heartbreaking 25-24 loss. The Giants were up 21-0 at half, but after a thunderous comeback full of Giant fumbles, the Jags took a 22-21 lead. Odell would then get the Giants in field goal position to retake the lead, but Blake Bortles led the game-winning drive for the game-winning field goal. This game would wrap up his month of November, which, as said earlier, he won the NFL's Offensive Rookie of the Month. In November, he totaled 47 catches for 593 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now the question was, just how much better can he get in the last month of the season? Yes, the team was on a 7-game losing streak after a promising start to the year, but the emergence of OBJ was more than enough to keep fans in seats. He'd start December with a massive 11-catch, 130-yard, 1-touchdown performance versus the Tennessee Titans in a 36-7 win. So finally, the losing streak was over, and if you thought November Odell was something to behold, just wait till you see December Odell. His second game in the month of December was nothing short of jaw-dropping. Beckham put up 12 catches, 143 yards, and not 1, not 2, but 3 touchdowns versus the division rival Washington Redskins. Not to mention, he had what would have been a 4th touchdown taken away by a holding penalty. Since November 1st, Beckham wasn't just the best rookie receiver, he was the best receiver, period. He was first in receptions, yards, yards after catch, and first downs, while being second in 25+ yard catches. It was OBJ's world, and we were just living in it. He had also neared the 1K yard mark in just 10 games, and there were still 2 games left to add to his historic rookie totals. In the second to last game of the season, Beckham went over 140 yards for the second game in a row, as he put up 8 catches, 148 yards, and 2 touchdowns, with the longest going for 80 yards. This was also the infamous Odell vs. Alec Ogletree game, which I guess you can say is a prelude to next season's events. And now there was just one game left in his historic season. Earlier in the year, it was the Philadelphia Eagles who made Odell and the Giants' lives a living nightmare in his second career game. Now, 2 months later in the final game of the season, it was personal for Odell to make sure that 2-catch, 28-yard performance never happens again. And what he do on this day all but confirmed why he's the greatest rookie wide receiver the NFL had ever seen. Talk about a one-man wrecking crew. Eli targeted him a staggering 25 times as he hauled in 12 catches for a season-high 185 yards and a touchdown. Unfortunately, the 3-game winning streak would be broken as they'd lose 34-26 to Philly, but the Giants rookie sensation had now completed his rookie season with 91 catches, 1,305 yards, and 12 touchdowns in just 12 games played. Keep in mind, this was one of the best rookie wide receiver classes we had ever seen. Guys like Mike Evans, Devontae Adams, Brandon Cooks, Sammy Watkins, Kelvin Benjamin, and his own LSU teammate Jarvis Landry. But in 2014, nobody was touching the levels Odell was at. In his first 9 games as a full-time NFL starter after Victor Cruz was lost for the season, Beckham averaged 9 receptions, 133 yards, and 1 touchdown per game, numbers no wide receiver had ever sustained in a full season. In addition to joining Hall of Fame wideout Michael Irvin as the only player ever to record at least 90 yards in 9 consecutive games, Beckham's 606 yards in December were the most by any rookie in one calendar month. Beckham had 4 games in which he caught at least 10 passes and gained at least 130 yards. Unfathomable numbers for a rookie receiver who had missed all of training camp in the first 4 games of the season. Of course, he'd win the NFL's Offensive Rookie of the Month in December, making it the second month in a row he won the award, while also becoming the first ever wide receiver to win it in consecutive months. His 606 yards in December not only led the entire NFL, but were also the most a rookie had ever recorded in any calendar month in NFL history. To continue handing Odell his flowers, Beckham became the 3rd player and only rookie to gain at least 600 receiving yards in a single December, joining Calvin Johnson, who had 707 in 2012, and Josh Gordon, who had 658 in 2013. Both Johnson and Gordon played 5 December games, while Beckham played in 4. He also had at least 90 receiving yards in each of the season's last 9 games, tying Pro Football Hall of Famer Michael Irvin for the longest streak in NFL history. Beckham had at least 100 yards in 7 of those 9 contests. In each of his last 6 games, Beckham led all players in receiving yards. This is the longest such streak by a rookie in NFL history. Beckham led the NFL with 593 receiving yards in November and joined Calvin Johnson and Andre Johnson in 2012 as the only players in NFL history with back-to-back months with at least 500 receiving yards. Beckham was the only rookie to accomplish the feat. Beckham also won the Pepsi Rookie of the Week 4 times that season, being weeks 12, 15, 16, and 17. So of course, this would all lead to him being voted the NFL's AP Offensive Rookie of the Year on January 31st, 2015. And then 4 months later, he beat out Patriots tight end and reigning Super Bowl champion Rob Gronkowski for the coveted cover of Madden NFL 16 with 52.5% of the votes. This officially concluded Odell Beckham's rookie year in the National Football League. A year which started at the lowest of lows with missing ample time on the field to then the highest of highs, breaking rookie records and setting the world ablaze with his iconic and never forgotten one-handed catch to concluding it on the cover of Madden NFL as a rookie. Odell's 2014 rookie season was certainly one for the books, and if you want to see another story that was for the books, make sure you like, subscribe, and check out my video on why Jalen Hurts' career is straight out of a movie script.